Presidential approval ratings are like a national report card, a way for Americans to grade the person leading the country. These numbers are more than just statistics. They're a reflection of how people feel about the president's performance, decisions, and leadership style. Whoever's in the Oval Office, from the moment they take the oath, is under constant public evaluation. Approval ratings track how well the president is connecting with the nation and responding to its needs. Every few weeks, pollsters reach out to a cross-section of Americans and ask a simple but powerful question. Do you approve or disapprove of the president's job performance? These surveys capture opinions from all walks of life, across every region and background. The answers give us a real-time snapshot of the country's mood, showing how events, policies, and even scandals are shaping public perception. High approval ratings mean the president has political capital, Congress is more likely to cooperate, and the administration can push forward with ambitious plans. When ratings drop, the president's ability to lead is weakened. Low ratings can stall progress, making it harder to rally support for new policies or initiatives. Suddenly, even longtime allies keep their distance, worried about their own political futures and public image. Every policy fight becomes an uphill battle, and the president faces more scrutiny from both the media and political opponents. For lawmakers, a president's unpopularity is contagious. They'll jump ship to save their own seats, distancing themselves to avoid backlash from voters. For the public, these numbers reflect more than politics. They're a barometer of national anxiety about jobs, prices, and America's direction. Approval ratings can influence how people feel about the economy, their safety, and their trust in government. When approval tanks, it signals deep worries about the economy, job security, and the nation's overall well-being. It can also reflect concerns about national security, leadership in times of crisis, or the government's ability to handle emergencies. So, when we look at President Trump's ratings nearly a year into his second term, we're not just seeing a number, we're seeing a country that's frustrated, divided, and searching for answers about its future. Approval ratings aren't just statistics, they're the story of how Americans feel about their future, their leaders, and the direction of the nation itself. As 2025 ends, President Trump's approval ratings are in a prolonged slump, negative for 281 straight days. This isn't a blip, it's a year-long trend across every major poll. A recent Reuters poll shows only 34% approve of his handling of the economy, with 58% disapproving. A huge blow for a president who campaigned as a business expert. The disapproval isn't limited to the economy, it stretches across nearly every major issue. Trump's second term skipped the honeymoon and went straight to gridlock, with the country as divided as ever. The persistent low numbers show he's failed to win over a majority, leaving him politically weakened as he enters his second year. For Trump, this polling slump is more than bad optics. It's a sign of a presidency struggling to connect. Dig into the polls, and Trump's struggles become even clearer. On immigration, a supposed strong suit, he's underwater by 6 points, with most Americans unconvinced by his border policies. The economy is an even bigger problem. He's down by 16 points, and 75% of Americans say their incomes aren't keeping up with inflation. Only 32% rate the economy as good. People care about their grocery bills, not stock market highs. On foreign policy and trade, he's underwater by 14 and 15 points, with his America First approach leaving many uneasy. Scandals and legal issues like the Epstein case drag him down further. He's underwater by 29 points there. The result? Trump is struggling to find a single major issue where most Americans are on his side. The disconnect between his rhetoric and public experience is glaring. It's a presidency defined by widespread skepticism. Facing grim polls, Trump took to Primetime TV on December 17, delivering a classic Trump speech: self-congratulation, attacks on opponents, and bold claims. He painted a picture of national revival, crediting himself for fixing the economy, securing the border, and standing up to Democrats. He announced a $1,776 warrior dividend bonus for military members, a patriotic gesture before the holidays. Trump touted the largest tax cuts in history and trillions in new investment, promising a booming future. He teased a new Trump RX website for cheaper prescription drugs and vowed to keep fighting for lower prices. The speech was an attempt to rewrite the narrative, projecting strength and success. But the real question, was anyone outside his base convinced? Trump's economic boasts don't hold up to scrutiny. While his speeches are filled with confident claims about the nation's financial health, a closer look at the facts tells a different story. He claimed, inflation has stopped, but government data shows prices are still rising, just more slowly. The cost of living continues to climb, and for many Americans that means their paychecks don't stretch as far as they used to. Grocery prices? He said they're falling, but the Consumer Price Index shows they're still up nearly 2% over the year, and up 30% since 2020. For families on tight budgets, even small increases add up, making everyday essentials harder to afford. His claim about Thanksgiving turkeys dropping 33% was exaggerated. The real drop was closer to 16%, and that's just for one holiday meal. Most food prices remain stubbornly high, putting pressure on household budgets. Gas prices? He cherry-picked a handful of stations with $1.99 gas, while the national average was $2.90. Most drivers across the country paid much more at the pump, despite the optimistic headlines. Trump's largest tax cut in history isn't true. Reagan's 1981 cut was bigger. In fact, economists point out that Trump's tax cuts were significant, but not unprecedented, and their benefits were unevenly distributed. His $18 trillion investment claim is pure fiction. Even the White House's own numbers are much lower, and mostly non-binding. Many of these so-called investments are projections, not actual dollars flowing into the economy. Again and again, Trump's narrative relies on exaggeration and misdirection. Fact-checkers have repeatedly debunked these statements, revealing a pattern of stretching the truth to fit a political agenda. For families struggling with bills, these rosy claims ring hollow. The reality is that many Americans are still feeling squeezed, no matter what the headlines say. The gap between presidential spin and reality is impossible to ignore. As Americans navigate rising costs and economic uncertainty, the truth behind these claims matters more than ever. Trump's speech didn't just stretch the truth on the economy, his claims about immigration and healthcare were just as misleading, if not more so. In a political landscape already clouded by half-truths and exaggerations, these topics have become fertile ground for misinformation and confusion. He boasted that 0 illegal aliens entered the country in 7 months, but that's simply not true. While border crossings have decreased compared to previous years, the number is nowhere near 0. In reality, thousands still attempt to cross each month, and the situation remains complex, involving humanitarian concerns and law enforcement challenges. He also inflated Biden-era border numbers, claiming 25 million illegal entries, when the real figure is less than half that. These exaggerated statistics are designed to stoke fear and paint a picture of chaos, but they don't reflect the actual data reported by border agencies. Trump revived the baseless claim that foreign countries are deliberately sending criminals to the U.S., a narrative that's been debunked repeatedly. There's no credible evidence to support this idea, yet it continues to resurface in speeches and rallies. On healthcare, he blamed Democrats for rising premiums, when in reality, Democrats are fighting to keep subsidies that lower costs for millions of Americans. The real drivers of premium increases are more complicated, involving insurance markets, pharmaceutical prices, and policy decisions from both parties. His tax bill didn't eliminate Social Security taxes, it created a temporary deduction that expires in 2028. Many Americans may not realize that these changes are short-lived, and the long-term future of Social Security remains uncertain. Trump's pattern is clear. Take a small policy tweak, blow it up into a sweeping achievement, and blame opponents for problems his own party helped create. This approach makes it difficult for voters to understand what's actually happening in Washington. The result is a fog of spin and distortion that leaves voters confused about what's real and what's just political theater. With so many competing narratives, it's easy to feel overwhelmed and unsure who to trust. In this environment, separating fact from fiction has never been harder, or more important. Staying informed and questioning the stories we hear is essential for a healthy democracy. The reaction to Trump's address showed just how divided the country is. Supporters and friendly media called it a triumph, echoing his claims and dismissing low poll numbers as media bias. On Fox News, anchors insisted Trump was the most popular president of the century, despite all evidence to the contrary. Meanwhile, outlets like CNN and the New York Times fact-checked the speech in real time, debunking one falsehood after another. For Trump's base, the speech was gospel, For critics, it was a fire hose of misinformation. Most Americans are left in the middle, struggling to know what to believe. This media split helps explain why Trump's approval is so low overall, but still high among his core supporters. Trump's low approval ratings come down to one thing: a huge gap between his narrative and Americans' lived reality. He claims victory over inflation, but most people feel left behind. His boasts about falling prices don't match what families see at the store. The December address was an attempt to bend reality, but constant exaggerations only deepen distrust. With little political capital, Trump faces a tough road. Congress is divided, allies are wary, and even his own party may distance itself. These ratings aren't just a grade for Trump, they're a symptom of a fractured nation struggling to agree on basic facts. As 2026 approaches, the big question: will Trump try to win over the majority, or double down on a strategy that's left him isolated and his presidency on shaky ground?